So what's up, y'all? Today we're going to talk about this thing. It's going to be maybe a long video, maybe a little boring for some, kind of interesting for others maybe to see what the chassis is about. If you have RSX, I would highly suggest you maybe looking at this video. This is probably one of the faster autocross RSXs, I guess, in the world. I don't know. There's not many of us out there. A good reason this chassis sucks, if we're going to be all honest here. But there's some ways to work around it, and we're going to talk about that today. I'm not afraid to hide anything that I've done to this car because there's a lot of guys that's helped me progress. Although I've done pretty much all the work on it, there's a lot of guys that's figured out a lot of stuff before me and really helped and been open and talked to me, and it really helped me along the way. So, I mean, I'm not taking 100% credit on every idea on this car. A huge help's been Ben Mitchell. He runs a car in GLTC. He's helped me with a ton of just work or ideas on the car. Another one to one of my best friends, Jonathan Bennett, and his father. He has helped me a ton as far as transferring stuff over to front wheel drive, just changing things up, things that I should try. And those two guys have made my life so much easier as far as figuring a lot of stuff out. Justin Tillis has helped me out some and about figuring some stuff out and pushed me to do this whole YouTube channel. So shout out to him as well. And there's just a lot of thought behind the car, and everybody that's ever talked to me, gave me the time of day. I really appreciate everyone. I mean, it means a lot to me that people take the time out of their day to talk to me about this thing and just want to help me with it. And hopefully maybe we can go far with it. I'm definitely not done with the car as far as it means. I feel like we're just getting started. I feel like the car really ain't even progressed into what it should be, but we're going to talk about what's done to it today. Another thing, when I talk about Ben Mitchell, his company is Bad Company Motorsports. So please check them out. He's an awesome dude. And the guy that tunes the car is Justin at Custom Kings Auto Shop. He's an awesome guy, always tuned the car, always done a great job. He's got a lot of badass race cars. So definitely, if you're in the Charlotte area, have him tune your car. All right, so today we're going to talk about the power plant. It's still a 2002 RSX Type S. It's got a K20A2 in it. The motor, like I said in the previous video, has about 185,000 miles on it. It's never been out. And it's really pretty much stock. We have a Skunk 2 Pro Series manifold on it, a 70mm throttle body, and then we have a 4-inch with a reducer down to a 3.5-inch intake. This intake's about 11 or 12 inches long. That showed kind of the best. And then we got an air box here, and this dropped intake air temps down a ton. And as far as the transmission, it's a Synchrotech drag gear set, 1 3/4, and then it's got a 541 final drive from M Factory, and then a Cusco 1.5 way or 1.5 RS, I guess you could say. The steering rack has been resealed. I did that myself, which sucked. And then we got the SHG slider in there from Evan, which is an awesome product. Highly recommend that on a RSX. And we might notice that something's going over here too, which would be the ABS. We kept having I guess the brakes just kept being wonky on this thing. Sometimes they would work. Sometimes it felt like you were just pushing through the brakes. So we ended up deleting that, doing a non-ABS proportioning block, and then a EP3 master cylinder on the car. It's still got power brakes because Ben told me about a thing where the firewall isn't really sturdy enough and flexes under pressure with the manual brakes. So we left it power. It's kind of weird to left foot brake and drive this car. Once you get used to it, I don't think it's that bad. It's got a lot of brakes though. We got these Pci Caster Plates on the car, which have been a huge help. Pretty inexpensive, help with just the caster gain on the car. It's still, like I said, got a stock radiator in it. I mean, they ain't really nothing that crazy under the hood. It's got a 421 header on it and a 3-inch exhaust. And I mean, it's pretty basic, but that concludes it about under the hood. We'll switch over to the suspension here. front suspension, let's start out here. We got these Bilstein B16s that I bought, and they're custom valved. We were running 16K spring rates on the front. We changed that up after nationals. The car was just just laying over really bad and kind of just chasing the car around. So we put those 22Ks on the front. And right now we got these Honda Element control arms on the car, which is a little bit longer than stock. They're about, I think, 1 inch longer. That helped out a ton. Ben Mitchell told me about those, which it helped, I think, with the scrub radius. Helped with a little bit getting a little more camber. I don't know if it helped the roll center any. I haven't mapped any of this out. But with that, we have some Moog Problem Solver spherical bearings. And then I think we have about probably estimated 5 degrees of caster with the PCI hats. And then we also got this helper spring here to give it a little bit of droop. Now, we have the roll center correction ball joints as well, 3/4 inch. Or, yeah, 3/4. And that helps, but this ain't quite enough. So I leave the car setting pretty high. With that, we had to do some custom tie rods, which I'm a big Moog guy, so I always run the Moog stuff. We got stock brakes on the car with a set of Hawk HPS plus pads, which get heat in them pretty quick. They kind of overheat quick, but that's okay. We're just autocrossing. So got some cheap rotors that I bought, and we'll go on to the rear suspension now and start talking about that. Starting out in the rear, we got these stock brakes again with some AutoZone pads because the rear locks up really easy. We got these limiters, Willwood limiters on the back. They're pretty much cut completely off because way too much rear brake. We got the Bilsteins again. I hadn't really played around much with rear spring rates just because we've been trying to figure the front out and I hadn't really had an issue with it. But now we're probably going to have to end up starting to mess with them. The car's got kind of a twitch at high speeds, and I think that's from these spring rates because that's only about a 10K, and with the motion ratio being so bad on these, it needs better. But this upper arm, I done the roll center correction to help with the camber curve a little bit. So under compression, that control arm setting kind of like that, which helps a lot. And then we have this massive Asr Spline Bar. This is the biggest one they make. It's the 250 sidewall. That's why we hadn't really went crazy big in spring rates, because I've just turned that bad boy up and the car's rotated plenty. But again, I think that might be also what's upsetting the chassis, such a soft spring rate, such a big bar. So we're gonna figure that out. But it's all pretty much stock bushings in the rear still, stock control arms, nothing. I hadn't messed with it because it ain't been broke, but that's pretty much the rear setup right there. And we'll go on here to the tire and wheel setup. So I got a 17x10 in the rear with a 275 35 17 A7. The reason I'm running that is because that's the first set of slicks I bought for this car. I'm cheap, and they've just been, I had 2 sets of them. So I was like, heck, I'm just gonna run these, and we've kind of developed the car around it. And a lot of events, I've been a single driver, so we hadn't had a ton of issues with them, really. I mean, heating up. I mean, you just gotta drive the car pretty hard, spin it out one good time, you're all right. Now on the front, we have an 18x11 with a 315 30 18, and that bad boy's got some grip. And onto this, we got a 3/4 inch splitter that I found a big old board out of my house, and we started using that. I need to redo this where it comes on up under the car some. It works better that way. So we're gonna redo that this winter, try and make this a little bit lighter. And we're also gonna make some fender flares, and we're gonna get new fenders because this isn't technically legal for EP. And you're allowed about 3 degrees of angle on this splitter. So we're right about just under that. That helps a lot. We got this ducting here, which I made this wrong. It needs to start out with a smaller hole, go a little bigger. And I didn't make the air dam quite big enough, so I gotta redo that too. But I made this just really cheaply because I didn't know how it was gonna work that well. All right, so here we're up under the car, and you got this 421 race header here, and then you got the 3-inch exhaust that we done 2 vibrant ultra quiets with a cone in the exhaust, and then we got that turned down so we can meet SCCA sound. And we still got this huge stock fuel tank in the car. That's been a pain in my butt. I'd like to get rid of it, but I don't really want to do all the plumbing to get rid of it. And then here, you got the, had a lot of problems with the oil starvation. So we done a Unit 2 steel bolt-on pan, which has been great. Still have to run about 6 quarts in the car so it doesn't oil starve. But I think it's just the slicks are so huge on this thing, it can't handle it. I have to run, with so much oil comes a little bit of pushing out. I don't have the car really vented, or the motor vented properly. So it's kind of one of them things, you just deal with it. I need to go back and fix a lot of stuff, but I haven't. We've been racing the car a lot. Again, we don't run no front sway bar on the car, just mainly because you want all that front suspension droop, trying to get the car to bite up front, and it just works well. Plus, with those control arms, you can only run a Honda Element bar. That's a little bigger than I want to run. So because our weight limit's so high, I hadn't really tried to get around getting some stuff out of the car. Still got the stock windshield in it. I didn't really feel like taking that out because it's just a big hassle with getting the right thickness Lexan and having to brace it and everything. But we do have these Lexan side windows, trying to get a little bit of airflow over the wing since we only have a single element. Then you got these Lexan rears. And now I've cut this whole hatch and cut a bunch out of the rear. So again, we've cut these doors quite a bit. They're about 29 pounds now. They're about 73, I think, when you start. We don't have any dash in the car or anything like that. None of that's required, so what's the point, right? But have this passenger seat in here again just for kicks and giggles, taking people rides. We're on K-Pro engine management, which has been awesome. I haven't really had to deal with that any. We did do a sunroof delete right here, which we're gonna redo this with fiberglass this winter probably. Do some fiberglass work, maybe even trying to make a fiberglass hood if we can. Now we got this PCI single element wing, and it ain't quite, I think it was for more of a road race car. I'm going a little extreme with it. I put this gurney flap on it. We got it at like 13 degrees of angle, and it's not enough. So I think I'm gonna talk to 9 Lives this winter and see if I can't get a little taller mount and get this thing way up in the air. We're allowed 6 inches over roof line, and then we're gonna put a dual element on it. So we're gonna do 9 Lives dual element because it needs it. And then with these end plates, I wasn't thinking when I cut this off, you're supposed to do it on the other side. It gets a little bit of flow. We're allowed, I think it's 200 square inches for the end plates, so you can get pretty rowdy with those. We're gonna do that. Maybe even try and get rid of these lights, how everybody's been hounding me about. So, but it ain't nothing crazy really. I mean, it's still pretty standard RSX. I mean, we might probably do some more spherical bushings this winter too, if I can afford it. A couple other things are coming. Ben said that he had some ball joints for this thing that were gonna be a lot better, so we're gonna put those on. They're also the roll center correction. And the car's on E85. It made 200 on a pretty low reading dyno. So we estimate the car is at about 220 horse, 165 torque, right in there. So it's still a pretty healthy K-Series, I'll give it that. But I think it could use a built motor. My pocketbook doesn't have a built motor in it, but only time will tell. With alignment, we run, right now I'm at about 2.5 degrees of camber in the rear because of that roll center correction, trying to play that out. And then in the front, at Nationals, I was about 3.5 degrees. I talked to some guys about strut cars, and they're like, man, you need to get up there. So I'm at 4.7 in the front. The tire wasn't really rolling, but you could see it was really wearing the edge of it off pretty good. So we changed that up, and we're at 4.7 now. And the climatics on this car showed that under compression or bump under the front, it had a lot of toe in. So right now I'm trying a lot of toe out since we just autocrossed the car. It's at 3/8 inch toe out right now. In the rear, since I don't have any issues with the rotation, we're going to run it about an 1/8 inch in is what we run it at. But again, we're gonna get these fenders fixed because that's not legal. And then we're gonna get some big flares out here and extend the splitter this winter and really get the car going.
again, I'm going to try and get 100 pounds out of the car, because give or take with how much fuel's in it, if I can get the car wide enough where I don't have to put a fuel cell in it, that'll be awesome. But if not, if it comes to it, we're going to do it. But I mean, that's pretty much the overview of the car. It's actually pretty simple. Nothing really out of the ordinary, nothing really crazy custom that we've done or anything like that. It's all pretty basic in my opinion. But there's a whole lot more to come. It's not just the pile of junk people thought it was. Y'all watching this video today, and I know it may be being kind of boring, but that's pretty much the whole deal on the RSX. It's not, like I said, nothing crazy. I mean, it's still RSX, really. I mean, there's no crazy custom fabrication parts. I don't have a welder here. I can't weld yet. Keyword yet. So we're gonna figure that out. But I'm limited to what I can do here, even though I have a lift. This is my grandfather's shop. Thankfully, I'm really blessed to use it. But there's still basic tools here. We don't have nothing crazy, you know. I mean, I don't have a whole fab shop sitting over there next door that I can go to and, hey, I need this made. Let's get it made. I mean, I got to strictly rely on what I can do myself. We got a little alignment jig that I made that I just put on jack stands because I can do alignment on the floor. I mean, a lot of stuff's really basic. I've had to learn to do myself because I can't afford anybody else to do it. And it's probably not going to be done the way I want it done. But it's pretty basic. I mean, we're going to go drive it. Maybe y'all can come accustomed to some of my driving. We're going to film next locals. That'll be probably the last event for the year until next year, sorry. But next year, we're going to try and do some national events, too, with the car, some more. Maybe try and win some more tires with it. So we'll see. But I don't know. Who knows? I like this chassis a lot. I didn't pick this chassis. This chassis more or less picked me. This was the first car I had that real driving experience in. This is actually the car me and my 3-year-long relationship girlfriend went on our first date in. And it's really emotional to me for this car. I mean, it means a lot to me. A lot of people may not see that, how banged and beat up it is. But this car, at the end of the day, I have a lot of heart and soul in this car. And if something was to happen to it, I would be really upset. But we're going to do some more videos. Next video will probably be us at the event driving the car and really enjoying it. So stay tuned. Thank y'all for watching.